Hey, class! Now, before we begin, I want you to do something for me, okay? I want you to think of a leader. Okay, you got him? Okay, now is this someone famous from history, or possibly even current events now, whose name has been plastered in the headlines for leading organizations, cultures, or even nations? Or maybe you were thinking of it closer to home. Maybe you were thinking of our principal, one of your teachers, a parent, a friend. Perhaps you're even thinking of yourself. Be it as it may, what's interesting to realize is that no matter who you were thinking of, they're all similar in the fact that they lead differently given the situation that they're facing. Grace?
Hey guys, the contingency theory of leadership say that a leader's effectiveness is related to a leader's traits or behaviors in relation to differing situational factors. 1969, Ken Blanchard and Paul Hershey developed the Situational Leadership Theory, one of the preceding contingency theories in their classic book, Management of Organizational Behavior. This theory was first called the life cycle theory of leadership, but during the mid-1970s, it was renamed the Situational Leadership Theory. According to the Situational Leadership Theory, a leader's effectiveness is contingent on his ability to modify his management behavior to the level of his subordinates' maturity or sophistication. Although the two would eventually develop their own opinions on the theory, the idea would largely remain the same. But how exactly does the Situational Leadership Theory work?
The style a leader uses under situational leadership is based upon combining levels of directive behavior and supportive behavior. You can think of directive behavior as an order, and supportive behavior as providing support or guidance. Hershey and Blanchard focused on 4 different leadership behaviors based on the levels of directive and supportive behavior. Telling is where the leader demonstrates high directive behavior and low supportive behavior. Selling is where the leader demonstrates high directive behavior and high supportive behavior. Participating is where the leader demonstrates low directive behavior and high supportive behavior. And delegating is where the leader demonstrates low directive behavior and low supportive behavior.
In order for a leader to be the most effective, they must determine the maturity level of their follower. Followers' task maturity is the ability to perform a task, and their psychological maturity represents their willingness to perform a task. In understanding their followers' maturity level, they can apply the best leadership style for that situation. With telling, the follower has low task maturity but high psychological maturity. In selling, the follower has low task maturity and low psychological maturity. And in participating, the follower has high task maturity but low psychological maturity. And in delegating, followers have high task maturity and psychological maturity. By recognizing the needs according to a particular situation and adapting to the scenario by using the most appropriate leadership style, a leader can come across as more effective and will generally do a better job in taking control. But what exactly does a situational theory of leadership look like?
In telling, the leader defines the task of his subordinates and closely supervises them. This is particularly true of inexperienced or first-time employees who need to be closely supervised by an experienced leader. In selling, the leader still defines and assigns roles and tasks, but he or she is much more receptive to getting ideas and suggestions from the subordinates. The leader still has the prerogative in making the decision, but in this setup, the communication is no longer one-sided. This type of leadership style is more suited for subordinates who are less experienced and still require guidance and supervision by their supervisors. In participating, the leader gives much control and little supervision to the subordinates. The setup is best used when dealing with experienced followers who, for some reason or another, lack self-esteem and motivation. And finally, in delegating, the leader is still involved in the decision-making process, but the delegation of tasks and processes are now fully given to the subordinate. This style is most suited for experienced subordinates who have the competence to set their own processes required in making goals.
Of course, a leader does not always prescribe to a single style of leadership.
Situations are always changing, and a leader's ability to manage others depends on their own ability to assess how they themselves should act in a given scenario.
Leaders that fulfill the situational leadership theory need to be versatile and have the ability to adapt, because those that do will ultimately succeed in being effective. Finally,